guys, what is going on? This is Sennheiser. I just want to welcome you to my next video in which I teach you about the magic bullet looks in Photoshop and color correction, etc. photography. It's a little bit of a tutorial. I felt like to give you guys a little bit of something to do. Haven't been posting a lot of videos lately. I figure I'd do something like that for you guys. I've been working on System Strike a lot lately. Now, you can make, this is kind of something I was working on yesterday, and well, that was what I was want to show you. You could, basically what I'm trying to say is you can make a crappy video game screenshot like this, look like this. Now, personally, some might say you destroyed the colors in that, but most would say I kind of like the way it looks. Go by what your taste looks like, but that is a huge difference for me. Personally, I'm colorblind, so I think you should be able to tell a lot better than me. So, yeah, if you want to take a fucking color correction tutorial from a colorblind guy, keep sticking around. That doesn't mean I can't see in color, but, yeah. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get a screenshot like this right here, and open file location, find all your photos, you know, just throw it in there, bam, you got your photo. Next, what you do is, yeah, you got magic bullet looks, I hope you do, because you can't really do fucking color correction in Photoshop, because it's a pain in the fucking ass. You get magic bullet and photo looks, and you fucking open it, and bam, it's loading in your, here it is. And what you do is, you throw away your shit that you did for your previous photo that you're messing around with, and you start fresh. A lot of people say, oh, you want to use filters because it's quicker and it looks like shit, so you never do that. Now, what you guys might be asking is, why aren't you cropping the photo so that the UI isn't on there? And my response is, you always crop the photo last because you never know what you want to keep it in the end, so I always end up cropping it last. A perfect place to start is with edge softness and a vignette. Now, what edge softness basically does is it's a focus, really. It's a camera focus. Way to describe it is, if you're not recording with a camera, you know, this also applies to Photoshop, Premiere and After Effects, not just photos. But say you're taking a video game screenshot and you want to be able to focus. Now, the less you see, the more you see. And just to give you an example, and a vignette is also really good because it really puts, if say there's a center, you know, shot or whatever the hell you want to call it, it really brings a lot of sight, I guess you'd say it, brings your eyes to the subject a lot more. And even if you don't have a subject, you know, if you want people looking at the center of the photo, maybe you don't have a certain subject, maybe the whole entire photo, don't use vignette. And if you want, you know, a little bit of like an edge softness, I'd suggest if you're taking real life photos, use camera focus. But if you're not going to be using a camera focus, you're just doing game screenshots, just edge softness if you want to focus. So yeah, real life focuses are a lot more efficient, but if you want to just focus on one object, even if like, you know, regular footage, I would highly suggest that over that. Depends on what you're going for. So next, what you're going to want to do is we're going to want to go over into post. This is a little bit of a tutorial. Go over to post, throw your shit over here, and you don't want it, like, you know, want stuff, you drag it over and release. So yeah, I want the strength of the vignette to, like, you know, go down, up, all that good shit. Edge softness, you can increase and decrease the size of the, I guess you could say, focus, move it around, all that good shit. So say I want my focus to be there, bam, and you say the blur is not strong enough, it's too weak, you know, you want a weaker blur, whatever the fuck you want to do, you got that. And it's all good times and stuff. The quality, I never really messed around with that. I kind of just keep it at like around like 4 or 5. And that already makes it look better. Forget about the UI. So, bam. What you want to do is you want to go into post. A good place to start is warm and cool. That really sets a mood for a lot of the photo. You don't have to do it very strongly, because it does a lot. Curves and a 3-way color corrector, and maybe just maybe some saturation. Good place to start is with warm and cool. All right. So what you do is say, okay, this is the Italian countryside. A lot of the city's made of limestone, and my problem with Assassin's Creed 2 is it's very, very washed out. It has like a very monotone, kind of like gray look to it, and I don't want that. So say I'm going to move it over, and it's already feeling a lot more warm. So say turn that on and off. You see that makes a huge difference from a bit of a cooler kind of night feel to like a bit of a warmer sunset kind of feel, I guess you could say. You can feel the lights in the city, etc. It feels more alive, to say the least. You can do that in a lot of photos. Say you want to like make it a bit cooler, you can make it cooler by dragging it over, you know, and you got your tints. Want it to be green, pink, whatever the fuck. Throw it on the scale. You can type in values. So let's try and get that to about where it was. Okay, that was good. Next, you got the three-way color corrector. You're probably gonna want to mess around with your curves first. Now, first thing I said earlier on is the less you see, the more you see, and that is the reality of a lot of photography. If it's just a flat photo where you see everything perfectly fine, you're not really gonna have you're gonna focus is not gonna be as good. And Ezio Auditore da Firenze here is currently hanging around Florence, and you want him to be the focus. You want the city to feel like the background, like it's morphing around him, I guess you could say. You know, you could see the city background, but you want it to be focused on him, you know? So a good way to do that is, again, the contrast. The less you see, the more you see, as I said earlier, and that already makes it a lot better. Boosting your contrast is good. If you plus on the shadows would increase, make it like, the shadows a lot less powerful, and minus on the shadows makes it a lot more powerful. I like to keep the shadows a bit more boosted. Contrast minus contrast gets rid of it, plus contrast increases it. And what you want to do is you want to enable and disable them every once in a while, just to get a good feel. You can boost your midtones. I want to decrease them a bit in this photo. We want to put an emphasis on the dark. It's kind of like a dusk feel I want in this photo. But if you want it to feel more like daytime, you can boost the midtones and etc. Highlights, dragging them down would make the whites not as bright. The highlights, the brighter parts of the photo. Midtones is basically an overall part of the photo. Shadows are the shadows, really the darkest parts. And so yeah, you can mess around with the gamma. I normally do not. I kind of just like to leave it default personally. And already, it makes Ezio look a lot brighter. It makes him stick out. It makes the city feel a lot nicer. It makes it feel more like nighttime, a lot less washed out, which is the case with a lot of photography in real life. Real life, even if it's like really bright and beautiful, you take a photo, a lot of times it'll be washed out, even with the best cameras, and you want to edit it so it doesn't feel like that. So a lot of the time, Magic Bullet looks is probably your best bet for color correction. You can use Lumetri looks in Premiere, but those are just filters. You can't really edit them that much. And you can use the curves in Photoshop, but there's not really as much you can do with just curves, and they don't really give you an idea of contrast, shadows, midtones, highlights. This is a lot easier to use. So yeah, this is a basic tutorial, but the effects you get from it are absolutely fantastic. Next, you got shadow color. Now, this is a three-way color corrector. They have this in Adobe Premiere. You can just mess around with it. I would suggest using the Colorista. We use this again in all of our System Strike videos, and we're going to be color correcting everything from now on. Now, the three-way color corrector, very basic. Well, not really. Well, it kind of is once you get to know what it means. You can affect the strength of it. I'm not really going to be doing that because we don't have anything on it yet. We'll do that last. Now, shadow color. You got a lot of this stuff is you got to feel it out yourself. Figure out what you think works. Say I want the shadows to be on a bluer, cooler side. I can drag them over. I want it to be darker or warmer, darker, or I guess you say brighter. You can do that. But frankly, what I want in this photo is I want the shadows to be a bit on the yellower side, a little bit darker. And that doesn't make a huge difference, but it all adds up in the end. It makes actually a pretty big difference. So midtones. This represents the overall photo. This feel you want to be going on, and you want the midtones to be brighter, cooler, whatever the fuck. You can do that. So you want your midtones to be. I want the midtones to be warm. If you want a cool photo, do it around this side. The left is warm, right is cool. It's kind of like that a lot of the time. Now, I want this photo to be warm because it's the nice Italian summer, and I want them to be a little bit darker. Turn it on and off. I like the way that looks. Highlights. Maybe I want you can have cooler highlights if you want them to stick out a bit more, but I kind of want a bit of a yellower kind of side to the highlights. There's not a lot of very strong highlights in this photo, so it's not gonna make a huge difference. So yeah, there we are. You got your magic bullet photo looks thingy. I guess you could say your color correction. If you turn this all off, the original photo looked like that. And the biggest part is coming up next, which is saturation. Be very, very careful with it. You can just leave it where it is. You can affect it, but say I want to increase the saturation. That, again, just a little bit of an increase. And I'm colorblind, but so it doesn't affect it as much. But for other people, it will increase it a crap ton. And that makes the colors pop a lot. And I really like that. I want a very warm feel to this. Maybe a little bit less, just a little. Yeah, like that. I like it like that. And then, bam. You can affect the component balance, warmness, coolness. You want to keep it normally at the default for the most part. Especially with, like, real shit. But then, bam, just hit OK when you're done. You can save the look by hitting File, Save, Look. By the way, if you want to keep it as like, you know, do it if you want to make like a bunch of photos like that, but I like to start fresh each time with photos. As for if you're making like a movie or something like that, I keep it like that. So here we are. Bam. You want to crop the photo. I will crop it on almost every photo to get a certain feel. Now I want to crop the UI out. Now again, the less you see, the more you see. Sometimes you want to keep you know, I don't want like all this sky to be in the photo. I kind of just want it to be like this. You know, if the UI wasn't there, I kind of would just drag maybe this side out a bit longer, maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower. But it kind of gives an idea of how high up he is if you keep it as is. Hit the, you know, crop thingy, bam, and done. You can zoom in, alt scroll, and it looks good. It really looks good compared to what we had earlier. That, you see, already makes a night and day difference. I mean, really. So what you do is you go File, and you go to you do Export. But what I prefer to do is Save for Web. Now, if you want to keep the photo original, you know, that'll increase the size a lot. I prefer to do Optimized. You know, it makes the photo a lot smaller and it's barely noticeable. But if you wanna do, if it's a really like a big photo to you, I'd keep it original. It depends on what you're going for. You know, if you're doing it professionally, keep all your photos original. Buy a hard drive. But if you're just doing it for fun, whatever, I would suggest keeping it optimized. And you can make it put 2 or 4 if you're gonna print multiple copies. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but hey, if you want to, you can do it. PNG, I would suggest keeping it over JPEG. JPEG makes the photo a lot smaller. But I would suggest using PNG 24 or GIF is good if you're making a website. Say if it was cut out like around here, you know, like around it, it would make it transparent basically. There would be no background. You can see the website background over it. I would suggest using GIFs for your website for the most part, even if they're not animated, and you can get a web, whatever the fuck is it, a web MP or whatever. I would suggest never really using that. So yeah, transparency, interlaced, mess with all this shit. You want the image size to be a little bit smaller, edit the percent, etc. So yeah, just save it to file location. I got a folder right here where I'm going to keep my photos, and bam, you save it. And it's gonna take a few seconds. Oh, it's done. Oh, okay, we're good. I'd also suggest having a really good computer, like at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. You don't need a graphics card or whatever, but having a good computer in Photoshop really helps a lot. You know, it's a pretty, I guess you could say, it's pretty tough on your computer. So yeah, oh wait, this is some pictures I was working on for the game Blur. So yeah, oh, look at this fucking retard, yeah, so, oh god, that one turned out to be horrible. So yeah, also, by the way, it's not gonna turn out good always. Like, this photo right here, they're not always gonna turn out good. You're gonna need, sorry if I gave you a seizure right there. There. It's not always gonna turn out good. see a photo like this, sometimes even if you think the photo looks amazing originally, it won't always turn out the best. That's why you need to take multiple photos of a certain situation, or just scrap it entirely, or maybe even work on just redoing the color correction. But sometimes certain photos just don't work with it, and yeah, it's perfectly fine. So yeah, let's get a before, and then oh yeah, I forgot, you get Windows photo viewer. So yeah, you go to your folder, and once you keep it, I'd suggest keeping it open just in case. If shit happens like this, go to your folder, reopen it. If you want to see it before and after for a good comparison. There it is. So here's our original motherfucker. Sorry about this, guys. Probably a little bit of editing on this. So yeah, I think that's the original. Here's our original, and here's how it turned out to be. And again, it gets rid of that grainy, washed out look. I would suggest not having the UI up in your game. If there's an option to not have the UI up in your game. Also, this applies to real life. You can do it in real life. I mainly Photoshop games because getting off my ass and out of the house and shit is a pain. I mean, I can. I've gotten some nice photos and stuff, in real life, like there it is, like this. You can get nice photos like this, and originally looked like that. Now looks like that. Real life is a lot harder for color correction because you want to keep a realism aspect. But yeah, just apply what you've learned here. Maybe learn the software for yourself. Mess around with it. See what works. Watch a few other videos, photography theory, all that good shit. Maybe go to a film school if you want to throw your money down the toilet, or if you really are passionate about it. So yeah, have fun, happy photo editing, happy movie making, happy After Effectsing, whatever the fuck you do with the Magic Bullet. I would highly suggest buying it, pirating it. I'm just joking, don't pirate it. People work hard to make this software. Highly suggest getting it for yourself. So yeah, have a good day. Bye-bye.